Well, good evening, everybody, and a warm welcome to our evening prayer for tonight for Good Friday. I don't know about you, but today has been, I think, the oddest of Good Fridays that I've ever known. Not being able to go to church and feeling sort of bereft in a way with not meeting up with my fellow brothers and sisters in Christ in church and then on our walk of witness. I really love the walk of witness, and I think it's so important. I know sometimes we wonder why we do these things, but I think the walk of witness is so important because it's a chance to let folk know what Good Friday is all about. It's not just a day off. It's a day when we remember the most memorable day in history, perhaps the most memorable Friday in history. And I suppose in some ways, for those who were there on that first Good Friday, perhaps they might say it was the most oddest of Fridays that they've ever witnessed. However, we've had our virtual walk of witness. A great time of prayer, I thought, lifting our community to the Lord in what is perhaps one of the most dire situations we've ever found ourselves in. And then this afternoon, Gordon Welsh led us in 7 words from the cross, which was a beautiful reflection service for Good Friday. And so if you missed out on the walk of witness or on the words from the cross at 3 o'clock, they are both on the website. If you'd like to catch up with them, they're on there. And I really would encourage you to do so because they were both very, very powerful, but in very different ways. And so tonight we're going to finish off our Good Friday reflections with thoughts from somebody perhaps that we never really give a second thought to, and that is Pilate's wife. As I say, we hear of Pilate, but do we ever think that he had a wife and perhaps even a family? And so we're going to be thinking with her and reflecting with her from Pilate's wife. We're going to hear from her, and then we're going to listen to a song, and then we're just going to finish with one prayer tonight. We're not going to have a time of open prayer. We're just going to finish with one prayer, bringing our Good Friday reflections to a close. I won't say much after the prayer. I'll just say that Gordon will be leading morning prayer in the morning at 9:30, if you would like to join us for that. But then I just invite you to hear these words, firstly from Matthew's Gospel, and then as we hear from Pilate's wife. Now at the festival, the governor was accustomed to release a prisoner for the crowd, anyone whom they wanted. At that time they had a notorious prisoner called Jesus Barabbas. But after they'd gathered, Pilate said to them, "Whom do you want me to release for you? Jesus Barabbas or Jesus who is called the Messiah?" For he realised that it was out of jealousy that they had handed him over. While he was sitting on the judgment seat, his wife sent word to him, "Have nothing to do with that innocent man, for today I have suffered a great deal because of a dream about him." Just a few verses from Matthew 27 there, verses 15 to 19. And before we hear from Pilate's wife, just some words from Lamentations. The Lord is good to those who wait for him, to the soul that seeks him. It is good that one should wait quietly for the salvation of the Lord. It is good for one to bear the yoke in youth, to sit alone in silence when the Lord has imposed it, to put one's mouth to the dust, there may yet be hope, to give one's cheek to the smiter and be filled with insults. And so, some words from Pilate's wife. Some people never remember their dreams. Rising from sleep, they are one moment there, fully formed, vivid and alive. and then the next breath, gone, dropping like a hanged man through the trapdoor of a suddenly remade consciousness, never to rise again, or as a coin cast into a well, falling and fading, so far down that even the tiny splash of its entry, the last register that it was ever real enough to be held in your palm, is unheard, lost forever. Sometimes a tiny whisper lingers, like those times when you encounter a smell that for an instant transports you somewhere long back, but cannot be seized. It is here and gone in the same moment. That was what it was like for him, my husband. Sometimes he would cry out in the night. Then I knew he was dreaming, knew that his dreams were as real as anyone's. And sometimes he would whimper like a child, still dreaming, distraught, shaking and sobbing, and even in waking, inconsolable, mourning for all the things he couldn't even remember, just the dull ache of knowing something tangible was there once. But it's not like that for me. I remember. My dreaming is as real as my waking, and I listen to the voices inside me. There is a wisdom in dreams that the sensible wide awake dare not credit. They say that this man, the one I dreamed of, the preacher from Nazareth, the one who has turned up the heat on all of us, believed in dreaming, came from a race of dreamers, believed that even God spoke through the magnetic pulses of the brain, tapping out his messages and stories while the world and all within it is sleeping. Young men dreaming dreams, and old men seeing visions. I could see all of it, and I carried the word from the depths of fast asleep to the turbulent waters of wide awake. I told Pontius plainly, sent the message to the judgment seat itself, have nothing to do with this man. For he is innocent, troublesome, provocative, disturbing, yes, but innocent. And I'm suffering today because of his presence in my dreams. And if he couldn't get the urgency of my words, and let's face it, like all those consumed by fear, worried about their position, listening was not one of his strengths. There was surely no mistaking my own fear. He must have seen it in my eyes this morning, felt it in the necessity of that hurried message sent. I say it again, have nothing to do with that man. Leave him alone. He is of God, not our gods. Not those of fear and superstition that contrive to rule our lives, doing little other than providing the legitimacy for our power, but a God of history, a God who is one and only one, a God who is someone in this abandoned man. I wonder, will this dream be real? For in it I saw my husband standing alone, impassive to everyone else's eyes but to me, who know him well, filled to the brim with fear. Looking at him despairingly, unable to do what he wants to do, swayed by the anger and the threats of all those other voices, I could still feel the sobbing child who cried at night, who does not know how to handle the authority he's been given, who would rather pass it on. I told him my dream and he wouldn't listen, wouldn't acknowledge my fear nor bend to his own convictions. Will this dream be real? Will he and this man Jesus be remembered? Somehow locked together, not just in this story, but in whatever happens next. I don't know. All I have is the reality of my dream and its hold on me. This Jesus gives me grief because he is so different. Different from Pilate, different from me, and yet inhabiting the same stubborn flesh. Standing on that pavement this afternoon, one had all the status and apparently all the power, but the other, him, Jesus, he had an authority that I'd never seen before. I want to say I don't know where it came from, but the truth is, I think I do. That is what terrifies me. His reality, and all of it the authority of God, in that moment laid down, freely given up. He had about him such poise, even in that hour when all conspired against him. It seemed as if there was nothing that anyone could take from him. Oh yes, on the surface we had taken everything. His dignity, his freedom, his clothes, even his breath. Spiked upon that cross, there was nothing gainly, nothing beautiful about him. Yet at the same time, and now I shudder to recall this, for this is what I dreamed, we took nothing. Everything that we had was what he chose to give. He answered us with the silence of one who knows what must be done, and then quietly and lovingly does it. For my husband, this was the worst of it. Compared to this, his cup was empty. He washed his hands, but the stain remains. For how long, I do not know. But in the dream, it is forever. His name linked with the name of the one they call the Christ. Forever accusing, forever laying the blame. And though I know I was there, I saw what happened. The culpability is even shared. No one was without a hammer. It is his name, Pontius Pilate, that has become synonymous with blame. That is my suffering. I saw it, but I couldn't change it. People don't believe in dreams anymore. They choose to forget them. It is night, the quiet hours. Not peaceful, but empty. I can't sleep, agitated, anxious. I shuffle the events of the day over and over, looking for the point where my intervention might have changed things. But it is here, at the point where each must choose how to act, that we are all alone, each selecting our own path, each of us powerless to change the other. What I saw in Jesus was an astonishing decision to choose the path of endless loving. And thus there was a colossal dignity in what so quickly became the dirtiest and ugliest of deaths. And I saw in him, this man sleeping next to me, terror. The inability to do what was right, the bending to do the will of others, the grotesque brutality of the mob. He's not sleeping soundly, his body trembles and every so often convulses. He's dreaming, but he won't remember. Whatever stories God hopes to whisper in the ear of sleep, he will be deaf to when waking. And for my part, I am now frightened of sleep, frightened of dreaming. I don't know what I need to hear. I don't know if I can take it. I don't know what tomorrow holds. My husband's restless resting, and his body, the cold, dead body of the cold, dead preacher from Nazareth, laid in a tomb, but not forgotten.
Come and see, come and see, come and see the King of Love. See the purple robe and crown of thorns he wears. Soldiers mock, rulers sneer, as he lifts the cruel cross. Lone and friendless now he climbs towards the hill. We worship at your feet, where wrath and mercy meet, and the guilty world is washed by love's pure stream. For us he was made sin, oh help me take it in. Deep wounds of love cry out, Father, forgive. I worship the Lamb who was slain.
Come and weep, come and mourn, for your sin that pierced him there, so much deeper than the wounds of thorn and nail. All our pride, all our greed, all our fallenness and shame, and the Lord has laid the punishment on him.
We worship at your feet, where wrath and mercy meet, and the guilty world is washed by love's pure stream. For us he was made sin, oh help me take it in. Deep wounds of love cry out, Father, forgive. I worship the Lamb who was slain. Oh, we worship at your feet, where wrath and mercy meet. You bore my sin and shame. Oh, you bore my sin and shame. Man of heaven, born to earth, to restore us to your health. Here we bow in awe beneath your searching eyes. From your tears comes our joy, from your death our life shall spring. By your resurrection power we shall rise. We worship at your feet, where wrath and mercy meet, and the guilty world is washed by love's pure stream. For us he was
So let's finish with a prayer. I am still dreaming, Lord God of dreamers and fools. I am dreaming a different world, a world where dirty hands are offered up for cleaning, washed again, where hope is not squeezed dry, where wayward paths converge and where wrong turnings can be turned around again. I am dreaming a better world, a world where tears of sorrow and regret are wiped away, where aching limbs are held, where inner fears are calmed, where thirsting lips are quenched. I am dreaming a new world, this world recreated, this flesh clothed anew, these sins forgiven, and this rejected stone the start of something. Amen. Good night and God bless.